Hi, everybody. Are you able to hear me? Okay. I am trying something new today. We'll see how it goes. I have part of what I'm doing today is going to be on a pre-recorded video, and then I'm going to jump back in and do some kind of summarizing and bringing it back together. So hopefully this works. And if it doesn't, wave me down so I can stop it and we'll try again. So let's see how it goes. Hi, everyone. Let's go ahead and get started. I want to honor your time and stick to our 30-minute schedule. So thank you for joining us for yet another installment of our monthly webinar series. I think we need a new name for the series, don't you? I'll have to work on that. But anyway, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. If you are new, my name is Corey, and I'm the Director of Curriculum at STEM Education Works. I spent 24 years in the classroom in different roles, starting out as a middle school science and math teacher, and then eventually ending up in the school library. I'm in Hershey, Pennsylvania, but I am actually getting ready to move to Hawaii. So I can't wait to get away from the cold and the snow. If you're a regular attender of our webinars, thank you so much for joining us again. I cannot tell you how much it means to have your continued support. Now, the format today is going to be a little bit different than last month. I am actually pre-recording part of this and will be monitoring the chat so you can ask questions during the presentation, but I will be coming back online at the end to do a live question and answer session and just kind of bring everything together. So hopefully that will allow me to monitor the chat and also do all the different things that I'd like to get done in today's webinar. So I am on video right now, but I'm also with you live in person in the chat. So our agenda today is really twofold. So I want to go very deliberately through the process of unboxing your Dobot so that we can look at each part and set it up from scratch. Now, I'm going to be using the Dobot Magician Lite today, but the Magician is very similar and almost everything will translate over. Now, I will also include a full unboxing video for the Magician in my follow-up email that I send if you'd like to spend some time watching that. But again, they're really similar. The biggest difference is going to be that, and we'll talk about this more later today, but the Magician will have more end effectors and a few more ports on the actual robot that you can use to connect to different things. Now, I like the Lite, and I've chose to use the Lite today because first, it's a newer product for us, and I also just really like it. It's simple to use. I feel like even the littles can use it without too much trouble. So I really like the product, and I just wanted to spend some time focusing on that today. Unbox and set up the Dobot. We're going to go through the process of changing out each of the end effectors. Now, I will be using both Dobots for this portion since the process is slightly different, but not very much. And after the unboxing portion, we're going to jump into write and draw. Now, we did touch on this feature a little bit last month when we did our Dobot Studio webinar, but today we're going to work through a task from start to finish. And then finally, we'll have a brief Q&A. So let's go ahead and jump into unboxing your Dobot. So we are going to start right from the beginning and open the lid of the box. Now, if you have not opened your Dobot yet before, then you probably have a seal, a plastic seal that goes across the front. So you just want to remove that carefully because you'll want to preserve the box in case you want to move your Dobot in the future or if you want to store it over the summer. You just want to be really careful because you want to make sure you protect the box. So you'll take the seal off and then you'll go ahead and open the top of the box, and there will probably be, well, there will be some paperwork as well as a checkerboard mat you can use for different activities and kind of a quick start guide. I do want to let you know that if you would ever happen to misplace the manual that comes in this set of papers, you can also get this at the download center online at Dobot. So don't panic if you happen to misplace this. All right, so the first thing we're going to do, you'll notice you've got all this foam padding. Again, try not to lose this. You're going to need it in the future. We're going to start by pulling out the work mat. So the work mat looks like this. And I'm going to just place it down on the other side of me for right now because I don't have enough space for it, but I'll show you what it looks like under the Dobot in just a minute. So I'm going to take that out, and I did want to let you know that the Dobot Magician does not come with the mat like the light does, so you will want to get a coordinate board to make sure that you have like a solid, steady place for your Dobot to rest. But if you're using the light, the mat is included, so that's really nice. Okay, so the next thing you're going to notice is that there is a little plastic container of blocks. This is going to be really useful to you when you're using the curriculum because we use it quite a bit. Those other activities you might want to incorporate. The only thing I want to let you know is that this plastic box doesn't stay shut. So I would either go ahead and put tape on it now, or maybe wrap a rubber band around it, or make sure that you keep it in the plastic bag. But it doesn't stay shut and you'll lose the little cube. So just wanted to give you a heads up about that. So the next thing we're going to do is we are going to take out the black foam and we get to the fun stuff. We get to the actual Dobot. So this is an important point. If you're having your students unbox each time, or even the first time of the school year, if they're helping you with this process, they're going to want to reach and grab for the arm. You don't want to, I'm sorry, the neck. You don't want to do that. You want to grab from the base. So we're going to go ahead and grab our Dobot by its base. And I'm going to set it down next to the box just for a minute, and then we'll come back to it in just a minute. You'll also find in this level of padding, you're going to find this magic box. And this is not included with the Magician, and you actually don't need it with the light. But basically, it has preloaded like sample demonstrations you can use with your students. You don't need it if you don't want to use it. I actually don't use it very often, but it is there if you want it. So I wanted to give you a heads up that that is available. I'm going to take out that layer. And then we wind up looking at all of our end effectors, which we're going to spend some time with today. But I wanted to go through each one of them with you so that you know where they're located and what they look like. So over on the right side, we have our pen effector. It does come with a pen. You don't have to use this pen if you don't want to. You can use really any writing utensil, including paintbrushes. So that is there. I'm actually going to leave these in the box for now since I'm not using them. This is our soft gripper. And if you're using the Magician, it will actually look very similar, but it won't have the big prongs. They'll be smaller and more rigid. And then you also have the power box. So you can use the power box as a way to power up your Dobots without having to have as many of the outlets. So it gives you a little more space. I actually don't use this either. I just use the power cord and the connectors to put my Dobot connect it directly to my computer. But that is available for you as well, and it is in this layer of foam. There is an area here that has, now you can see I've used mine, but there are lots of connectors to do different things, including connecting the magic box and the power box, so that's there. And then I wanted to show you this, and we're not going to do anything with it today, but I'm thinking if you all express interest, there is a camera attachment that you can put on your Dobot Lite that will let you do more with AI, with artificial intelligence. And if you have the AI teaching kit, this is a great option. So we're not going to do that today because it's its own thing, but definitely if that's something you're interested in the future, we can definitely do a webinar on that. Okay, so that is unboxing my Dobot. I'm going to go ahead and close this up for now, and we'll be right back to set up the Dobot itself. So here we have the Dobot Lite without any components plugged in. Now on the back of the robot, you will see a panel that contains rows of labeled ports for connecting different components. Now you're going to want to retrieve the cables from the packaging and combine the two power cables. you'll plug the power cable into an outlet and then plug the other into the back of the robot. I've turned on the power button. You'll hear the Dobot start up, and then you'll see the indicator light over here turn green. So we're now ready to connect to our computers and begin working with Dobot Studio. So the last step is to connect the USB port to your computer, and then this portion here to the back of your Dobot. Okay, so I am now set up and connected. I'm going to move some of these wires out of the way. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is look at the different end effectors. So let's talk end effectors now. Before we jump in and start changing ours out, I want to highlight a key difference between the light and the magician. So here are the 5 end effectors of the Dobot Magician. Now the gripper, the pen, and the suction cup are the same, whether you're on the Magician or the Magician Light. But if you have the Magician, then you will also have a laser engraver and a 3D printer. And I'm really curious if there's any interest in a future webinar on these tools. So please feel free to let me know in the chat box if that's something that you would be interested in learning more about. On the front and bottom of the neck, you will see a square socket. This is where you will place the end effectors. To set up the soft gripper or the suction cup, you will also need to attach the tube from the end effector to the nozzle on the Dobot. Now, this can be a little tricky, so you may need to help your students, especially the littles. So let's try it. We are going to start with the suction cup. So we'll take the suction cup, and there's really only one way to attach it, and we're going to press it in. So with the suction cup, we're going to also need to attach the tube to this little nozzle right here. And really it's just squeezing it up over the nozzle. And that's really all there is to it to put in the suction cup. So let's try to change out the end effectors and move from the suction cup to the gripper. So all we need to do is press this button at the bottom to release and pull the suction cup out. You'll just need to detach the hose, and that one's gone. Here's our soft gripper. We're going to do exactly the same thing. We're going to press the gripper right here into the socket, take the tube, and attach it to the nozzle. And your soft gripper is now set up. Now, if you're working on the Magician, they are very similar, except the pump is a separate piece. So now we're going to change out the soft gripper and replace it with the pen end effector. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to press and release the soft gripper, remove the nozzle, the tubing from the nozzle, and we're going to take our pen and we're going to attach it to the Dobot. Now, the pen that comes with our Dobot does have a limited amount of ink. So what I wanted to show you today is that you are not limited to just the pen that comes with the Dobot in the box. So I'm actually going to use my favorite pen, a Pilot G2. And so all you need to do is place the instrument into the Dobot and then tighten this little screw right here. And then you can use anything that will fit into this opening here. So really you can go up to the size of, you know, like a smaller marker, not one of the big fat Crayola ones, but one of the narrower ones, and even things like paintbrushes. So anything that you can put in this opening and then tighten, you can use. And that is how you set up your Dobot Magician Light. Okay, I told you it was going to be a slightly different format. I could not figure out how to do the unboxing in the space I have with the live camera thing going on. So hopefully that gave you a really basic look at unboxing the Dobot. So we did Dobot Studio last month, but we didn't really spend time on the specific parts of the Dobot. Whoops, let me let somebody in here.
We didn't spend time on the actual parts of the Dobot. So I wanted to do that today. And then the next thing I wanted to do was jump into, we're at 4:15 right now, so we should have plenty of time. I wanted to jump into a little more with the write and draw. I promised you last month that we would do a Valentine with Dobot, so we're going to do that now. And I'm going to try to share my screen again and let me know if it doesn't work. Okay. Oops. So we're going to focus on write and draw. Again, we did look at this a little bit last time, but I really want to dig in a little more and show you just how robust the program is and some of the things that you can do with it. So I actually want to share my Dobot Studio with you. I shared the wrong thing. Hang on. Share. Oh, shoot. I hope that did it. Let's see. All right. Are you seeing my Dobot Studio? Well, I can't see you guys. So somebody's going to have to tell me if we're not. So here's my Dobot Studio. We saw it a lot last month. I'm going to click into write and draw. Okay, so we didn't spend a lot of time on this, but I wanted to let you know that there's really two ways that you can connect and interact with write and draw. I do also want to pause there and tell you that you can also use write and draw for the laser engraver. And I saw two people put comments in that they'd like to look at the laser engraver more in a future webinar. That's great. We'll absolutely do that. And I'll show you at that time how you can use the write and draw feature with the laser engraver. So it's a little easier to manipulate than the laser engraving app that's built in. So just want to let you know that you can do both the pen and the laser engraver in this part of the program. So you can do two different things. You can have your students or yourself create something from scratch right here on the workspace, or you can bring in a file that you either you found on the internet or whatever. You can bring in any file that you want. So I wanted to show you how do you do this manually first. So if you select input shapes, now there are not a ton of them, but there are enough to get you started for most things that you want to do. And since we just had Valentine's Day, I'm going to go ahead and select the heart. And when you select the icon, it will automatically place it on the workspace. So I wanted to let you know, and I don't think I mentioned this last month, the actual print size from the base of the Dobot out to the end of the workspace it's about a 5x7 area. So be aware that even though it looks pretty small right here on the screen, and I've done this, actually wrote all over my desk earlier today, trying out my different patterns, it's larger than you think it's going to be. So just keep that in mind that it's about a 5x7 print space. So when you're looking at the workspace, you really can do almost anything with these images that you could do, or with these icons as you could do like in Google Slides or Google Docs. So if I right click, I'm able to flip it vertically or horizontally. I can also rotate and I can center, which is a nice feature if you're trying to do something really attractive and you want everything to be lined up. You can center the picture. So then the next thing you can do is use the handle just like you would in Tinkercad or any other program, and you can resize your figure. And I'm going to center it again. Okay. So you could continue to do that with shapes if you wanted to add shapes to your workspace. So now I'm going to come into input text. And since it's Valentine's Day and we want Dobot to give us a Valentine, we're just going to say Happy Valentine's Day. And then you can change, using this little drop-down box, you can change to any font that you like. So for this one, I'm going to make it a nice script-looking font. They also have this option here that says use a single line style. So if you don't want it to break like if you have a sentence and you don't want it to break, you can use that option. You can also bold, underline, or italicize anything. And then I'm going to select OK. And it's going to go ahead and place that text onto the workspace. So if you remember from last month, if you have anything red on the workspace, that's not printable. So it has to stay in that workspace. So we're going to do a couple of things. We're going to drag it over here to the middle, but we're also going to shrink the size down. Okay, and then I'm going to center it. There we go. So now I have a very simple but easy to do Valentine from Dobot to myself. Now it would be time to print, and I had it all set up to print for you all, but it takes too long. It's kind of like a 3D printer if you've ever tried to print for your students and you just sit there and watch the print. Wasn't great, and I also just don't have a lot of space. So I'm just going to show you how I went about doing this. So whenever you haven't touched the Dobot for a few minutes or for a little while or between classes, you're going to want to home the robot because it'll get jostled and it won't know where that center position is. So once you home the robot, you're going to have to come over and auto Z. So auto Z is telling the Dobot how far up or down to start the drawing. So you want to, there's that unlock button we looked at last month. You're going to unlock your arm and then you're going to press the arm down so that the tip of the pen or marker or whatever you're using just barely touches the paper, and let it go and auto Z. So now it knows how far up and down to go to begin the process. And then the last step would be start. And it takes, so I ran this one earlier this morning. This probably took 5 minutes to run through the entire drawing, and it was a full 5x7. So it doesn't take a real long time, but it's not instantaneous either. So faster than a 3D printer, but you know, not super fast. So that's how you do a manual entry of a drawing. So now I'm going to show you how to do an upload. So I don't want to save this. And I'm going to, I don't know why that didn't delete. I'm going to open a file that I saved earlier. So what I did, I went out on Google and just searched for Valentine's Day. But what I did was add the word, and probably all of us are teachers, so you know this trick, but just in case somebody told me, so I'm going to tell you, you can add the word transparent before your search or transparent background, and it will only give you those items that don't have anything behind it. So if it has even like, you know, a slightly off-colored background and you try to do this on the Dobot, it's going to be really, really complicated. So you're going to want to search for an item and then put transparent or transparent background. The other thing you can do, and I actually tried it on this one as well, if you don't know the website remove.bg, you definitely need to put that one in your toolbox. So that will take any background out. So if you're doing any kind of work with images, you can remove the background, even if you're putting them in your LMS. I used to do it like if I wanted to drop little pictures in my, Schoology page from my classroom, you can do remove.bg and it will take that background out. So you can bring in bitmaps, you can do JPEGs, you can do SVG files, and you can do PNGs. So any of those will come in, but it will convert it to an SVG. And we're going to plot it to the main scene. And hopefully, I had trouble with this moving really slowly earlier. There we go. There is our Valentine from Dobot to us. Now this is a little fancier because I didn't develop it from scratch. And it comes out, when you print it, it comes out really nice. If you've ever seen like a Cricut or like a laser printer doing this kind of work, that's what it looks like. It's that precise. So it's a really nice end result when you run it through. So you can resize it. You can do all the different things that you could do to the manual pictures as well. So that takes us to the end of our session, right about the right time. So I'm going to stop sharing, I think. There we go. And I want to just open it up for questions. I think next time, I meant to hold up. Next time I was looking at digging into either Blockly with the Dobot or the laser engraving. So if you have a strong feeling on that, please feel free to drop that in the chat and let me know. It'll be the same time, same place next month. I think it's the 16th. I'm not sure, I have to look at it, but you'll get your invite. And don't forget that I will be sending out, okay, Blockly, Tom said Blockly. That probably will be my colleague that'll jump in and help me. I've already asked him just in case you all asked that question. So I will be sending out an email. It'll probably be tomorrow morning, and it will have, just like I do every month, it'll have the video for this presentation. It will have your certificate for your PGPs if you're in Indiana, and it'll have any links or resources that I talked about today. So with just a few minutes left, if you have any questions, feel free to unmute yourself or just type in the chat, whatever you're most comfortable with. Oh, I did have one more thing. I'm sorry, I did. You can still ask questions, but I wanted to show you one more thing. Sorry. Okay, wait. Okay, I have a 3-question poll just to make sure that I can tailor these things to meet your needs. So it's just 3 questions. So if you'd either scan the code or just click on the Google form, I just want to know what it is that you want to see and what would help you most in your classroom. I know sometimes we have high school teachers, sometimes we have kindergarten teachers, sometimes we have art teachers and STEM teachers, and I just want to make sure that we're doing kind of a broad range of things so that everybody gets something that will work for them. So I see a lot of Blockleys. Okay, so my colleague Ty is definitely going to be on the webinar next month, I can tell you. Any questions or thoughts or issues or? Okay. Well, I guess then we will end right on time. That never happens. We're usually, 5 minutes over. I will be sending all of this out for you tomorrow. Oh, hang on. It's a suction cup with your conveyor belt. Okay, Mary, that is a great question. Is that Mary that said that? Because I think it's Mary.
It's me.
Okay, I couldn't tell because it was like 2 comments on top, one on top.
Yeah.
That's like its own session. What I can do is send you some resources for the immediate future to help you right away, and then I can develop a more, a more detailed session if that would be helpful.
Yeah, I was given the code at one point, and then I was trying to, of course, you have to set, parts of that code, depending on how you're picking up blocks. And I had most of it running. I had part of it, and then the other part would not run. And so it was kind of, I only had so much time, so I've only kind of dabbled in it a little bit and would kind of like to know, okay, this, have a little help with that code. Maybe it's part of the code, and it may have been incorrect, what was sent to me originally.
Do you remember, was it from us? The code was from us?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It was one of now I have to think who it was. But then they resent something, but that didn't necessarily help. And I know how to set the parameters.
Mm-hmm.
It's just that spending the time with it, that's probably my fault. I need to spend more time with it and look at that code in more detail. But I was setting it where they say to set it and watch the videos, but you know how that is. Sometimes
And it wasn't working.
No.
Okay.
And only half of it was working. It would pick up the block and it would set it on the conveyor, but then the other one, and then it would go past the sensor and you could tell that it saw it, but then the other one would not pick it up and then put it where it belonged. So there was the second half was not working of the code.
Okay. Hey, Mary, this is Christine Mills. I'm also with STEM Education Works. Do you have access to our curriculum? Is that what you were using?
Yes, I do have access to your curriculum. At least I have.
Okay.